Hey friends. Um, it's a lovely Sunday afternoon here in Albuquerque. We just went to our first ever, I think, birthday party for someone in Annalise's class. These are events we have, I wouldn't say studiously avoided for the past year. I would just say haven't had the opportunity to uh, to participate in. But we did finally today, and it was great. It was a blast. I can't wait to throw one. And somewhere in the we were up in Santa Fe last night, and somewhere in the drive, I started to have a thought that's really just unpacking itself. This isn't a fully formed thesis as you've grown accustomed to on this post. Nothing but fully formed theses here. No. But the thought that came up was I was just kind of reflecting on, because we've had this lovely weekend and we've been up in Santa Fe, and Santa Fe is so beautiful, and the energy is just kind of relaxing and vibey, and it's just lovely. And being up at my parents' house with Annalise and just kind of taking it easy for 24 hours. Went to see a play last night, or yesterday afternoon. Something about it evoked this idea of an impulse towards a simple life. I had a vision of like living somewhere out remote in the mountains, maybe, and having a wood-fired stove in the house that heats the place. And I just had this, it was like this kind of fantasy of a simple life, of a kind of the rat race dropping away, right? Has this ever happened to you? Who knows? Am I the only one? And what was striking about it is this is really not something that I frequently think about. It's not something I'm really particularly attracted to. I am on some kind of energetic and aesthetic level, but that is not my dream. Certainly not right now. Maybe as I get older, maybe I'm seeing a vision of a life, many years from now. But what struck me was that this feeling of simplicity was not necessarily, this is how I want to spend all my time in my life, and this is how I would want to live. But that there is a kind of attractive, almost seductive quality to that kind of simplicity. This sort of almost like going back in time. Like make life great again. It's a kind like a sense that the worry and the urgency and the challenge of life, which is ongoing and somewhat relentless in many ways, that would just drop away, and we'd be able to live this simpler, less stressful life. And what has always struck me about this is that is its own. Not that there's not something really beautiful about that. And anybody who wants to go live off the grid and like go chop wood and like make, haul water, I don't know what level of off the gridness you're talking about. Like when I talk about off the grid, I still presume running water, but but that kind of that image of life feels attractive, or I use the word seductive, because it seems to promise liberation from all the things that stress us out, right? All the things about city life, living among other people, either having a job or working however we work, whether we work from home or whatever it is, but there's an urgency to it, and there's a kind of ongoing necessity. We're sort of like, it feels like a climb in some ways. And the simple life just says, oh, what if I could just go and chop wood every day and fill up my wood burning stove and heat my house and read a book or write a book or whatever, fill in our own. Of course, I'd have a grand piano in this beautiful log cabin, wherever it is. It's like it's an escape from the things that feel stressful and urgent and incumbent upon us now, that we sort of like maybe would like to throw off some of those responsibilities or some of our the sense that we're bound to that we have to continue, we have to keep this up. And what always comes through, and this is kind of what was showing up today, is that that's not actually what we want. All of the things that stress us out, the things, got that part? The things out there that stress us out are actually the things we want in our life. They're the things we are compelled to attract and to process, to engage with. That's life. This is our life right now. And the only thing that makes the simple life attractive, I mean, maybe that's an overstatement, not the only thing, but a large portion of the impulse to sort of like, oh, I just want to put it all down and go live somewhere away, is that either we're not sure of the outcome of these various projects and lines of life pursuit that we're following and that feel maybe kind of relentless. It feels like if we could just put all that down, then we'd be able to relax. Well, my sense is that's not actually true. We wouldn't be able to relax. We'd go out there in the middle of the woods and we'd find other things to stress about. Because that's the nature of our evolution. That's how we keep moving. The crucible of life is bringing those things to us for a reason. Now, can we do all this without being stressed? Absolutely. There's absolutely a way to do that. And that, I think, is the key. That's what was showing. Again, I can kind of only speak for myself here, but I don't think that what I'm articulating is unique to me. My sense is, though, that that engagement with life that we have created for ourselves, that is actually the way our life looks, is exactly what we need. And therefore, on a soul level, it's what we want, right? On the surface level, it may not be what we want. We may have something we have to do today, tomorrow, the next weeks, months, whatever. We may be bound to things that feel oppressive and that very, in a conscious way, we don't want that, or we don't want it anymore. But actually, if it keeps coming back and if we stay engaged with it, then that sort of means that on some level our soul is processing this, the whatever the entity is that is dealing with our karma, the part of us that is karmically still engaged and entangled, that part of us actually deeply desires these experiences, however on the surface repellent and annoying they may be. So the notion of the simple life is kind of like a desire for a break, but not because we really need a break, just because the urgency and the relentlessness of life makes it feel like it's too much, right? Life is always just a little too much, unless we are a very, very highly skilled, spiritually evolved individual. Though I think when you get to this, I see, I look around, I see people like Sadhguru, I see, some other great spiritual teachers, and they seem like they know kind of how much they're in for, and nothing, and it doesn't, but the antidote to overwhelm that they have found is simply total embrace of every single moment. I think about Sadhguru, who he's, dresses like a yogi, goes around giving talks and lectures and speeches and riding a motorcycle across half the planet and in a new country every couple days and flying everywhere. And his life is vastly, 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 vastly more relentless than mine. Running an organization of a couple 100,000 volunteers, that's supposed to be less stressful. How on earth could that possibly be the case? But there's a sense of nothing is ever too much. And so that doesn't mean it's not great to go hang out in the log cabin for a while and get and recharge, but it means that the notion of that simple life, and this is where I think as it comes into politics, as again, the whole make X great again impulse, and then X is insert your own thing that you think is kind of like the perfect life. That impulse is actually just running away from something that on a soul level we deeply desire. It's exactly what we need, it's exactly what we want. But it's hard sometimes, and so we wish we could run away. But promising that fantasy could possibly happen is of course politically pernicious. We all kind of know that, because it can't actually happen. We're not going back. We're going forward. That's true collectively. It's true culturally. It's true individually. We're not going back. When I think about what I would do in my perfect little log cabin simplicity version of life, it can only come from my memory of times that I've either felt like that or some version of what I would let go of that's oppressing me now, or that feels relentless now. But it's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. It's not a real place. It's not a real time. It's all what it is the fantasy of the absence of the urgency of now. And that's not something that we want to get too caught up in, because it's not real. It's not going to happen. It's not going to solve our problem. What will solve our problem is centering connecting and knowing, grabbing hold of the conviction that nothing can overwhelm us, and living our life as a manifestation of that, as an expression of that. Because ultimately, we're all gonna die. We're here to evolve, and then these bodies are going to die. There's no other thing, there's no place where we can get away from that. We're here to do our work and then move on. So that's what we're optimized for. And I think, again, not that there aren't some pretty massive cultural correctives that need to happen and big things we need to do, and not that it's not possible to become frustrated and incensed by the way our culture might be working or not working or whatever, but there's no escape from that will take us somewhere that's better for our evolution. We're here for a reason in this cosmic shitstorm of a global moment. It's not happening as a mistake. It's happening because it is provoking us to evolve. So that's just kind of, again, I was just driving down the highway and this is what pinged into my head. It's like, oh, isn't that interesting? I'd love to go sit by a wood fire stove. Don't feel that way all the time. What's going on, Robin? Have a hard day? Anyway, thanks for watching, people. It was a long one. I appreciate you. All the love in the world. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. I will see you very soon.